Hello, good morning all. Welcome to a special webinar on new groundwater guidelines, government and industry perspective, challenges and way forward. This is me, Shauvik Goswami, on behalf of APAC News Network. With me, we have our colleague, Sanghamitra Mohanty. Also, this webinar series, this three-part webinar series is organized by APAC News Network in support with National Water Mission, IIT Kanpur, Groundwater Department, and technology partner, Crystal Technologies. The first edition of this three-part series was held last month, where we had the perspective from UP Groundwater Department, industry, policymakers, as well as the young minds like Vinay, Crystal Technologies. They are trying to make a difference in the whole ecosystem of effective groundwater management. And for this edition, we have eminent speakers with us. Let me introduce to all of you the keynote speaker for this edition, Sunil Kumar, member Central Groundwater Authority. Thank you so much for joining us, Sunil Kumar. We are also joined by Mr. Anupam, Executive Engineer, Groundwater Department. Thank you so much, Mr. Anupam, for joining us today. We are also joined by Mr. Venkaya Vadlamudi, Project Manager, Solid Baridat, Asia. Thank you so much for joining us, Mr. Venkaya. And we are also joined by Mr. Pankaj Gupta, President, Industries Association of Uttarakhand. Thank you so much for joining us, Mr. Pankaj.
Thank you.
And we're also joined by Vinay Chattaraju, co-founder, Crystal Technologies. Thank you so much, Vinay, for joining us. Before I move to the keynote speaker for his keynote address, let's set a context. Why we are doing this? What is the aim of bringing best of the minds together for this platform? As you know that the aim of this knowledge sharing platform is to discuss on various aspects of groundwater management, impact of new guidelines issued by Central Groundwater Authority. I think that guideline was issued in October 2020. And how government industry collaboration can happen for leveraging new age technologies for ensuring efficient usage of precious groundwater resources. And for this, we have created this platform, a three-part series webinar where policymakers, experts, industry representatives, and technology companies, they are coming together to discuss on this very important aspect of groundwater management, and especially how industries should take this into consideration while using groundwater and how technology can be leveraged for the same. With this, without taking much time, I request Sunil Kumar to give a keynote address. My question to Mr. Sunil Kumar will be that CGWA, Central Groundwater Authority, has done a commendable job in coming up with the new guidelines, especially for industries, infrastructure, and mining projects, which sets a clear direction of vision which is clear towards sustainable groundwater usage. There have been a lot of discussions going on in this regard from various people, but we would like to hear from the highest authority in CGWA, that is you, on what the roadmap ahead looks like on the usage of groundwater for industrial and commercial purposes. What should the industries and other commercial users keep in mind for the coming years on regulations related to groundwater usage? We would like to hear from you, Sunil Kumar. Over to you.
Thank you. I will be giving a small presentation, and then I think we should have a discussion forum on that. There is a small presentation. If everybody can see it.
Yes, we can see that.
Everybody knows this thing that the groundwater or the surface water, whatever the source of water is there, it is lifeline of the humankind as well as the environment, and it is being used for various purposes, as it has been listed here, like domestic purposes, agriculture purposes, industry purposes, navigation, recreation, and then even waste disposal. And you can see that there are, you can imagine that no activity in the mankind lifetime where water is not used. So water is used in every aspect of our life. So if we see the sector-wise consumption, so basically water is mostly used by thermal power plants, and then the engineering activities, then pulp and paper, textile, steel, sugar, and let's see other uses. These are the major consumer who are using the water for producing various goods. So if you see the how much water is basically we are using to produce 1 kg of goods. You see here, there at the top we have the coffee and chocolate, and the bottom we have the potatoes. So it ranges from say 19,000 liter per kg to 260 liter per kg. So we are basically using a lot of water in processing in the industry. Ranges from say 19,000 liter per kg. FAO has done a study, and they specifically give the guidelines or their analysis on the issue of water distribution, especially in the urban areas. So they identified basically water leakage is one of the important issue. Second issue, they say the lack of distribution channels and lack of metering and inequitable supply of water in urban and the rural area. Rural area, the consumption is not that much, and the urban area, the consumption is too much. They are creating sinks for utilizing the water. And everybody knows that excessive utilization of groundwater has led to groundwater level decline, drying up of wells in say Western India and the Central India, then reduction of sustainability of aquifers as well as the pumps. Basically, the base flow to the river has reduced, and the lifting power is now required more, so the energy consumption has increased. And few of the reports are there, the water contamination has also increased due to the over pumping, and there are saline patches has come up, and we have seen the seawater ingress due to over withdrawal in the coastal areas. And the ultimate outcome of this is basically reduction in the availability of water to the different users, degradation of fertile lands, drying up of various rivers, especially in the southern India, where the water level has gone down, because those rivers, those are ephemeral rivers, they are getting the groundwater contribution. And as we are taking out more and more water, the decline is there, and their contribution of the groundwater has reduced. So the ecology of the wetland area is affected by that because of the over withdrawal, and there are various health issues has come up due to deteriorating water quality, and there is a competing demand among the various stakeholders. Some places, the even population migration has also been seen, and excessive utilization of groundwater. If we see, you have seen this picture many times, wherein we can see that the western part of the country, central part, few area, and the southern part, they are having these red and blue patches and yellow patches. These yellow and blue and these red patches, they account for about 36% of the total available assessment unit of India. So what we can say that these OCS blocks are basically, they are account for 36% of the area of the country or the assessment unit of the country, which are under stress. And because of this, the NGT has given us a direction that when you are permitting the licenses you are giving to the industry or to the users, you first see the cumulative impact assessment of the withdrawal on the groundwater system before issuing any license. So in that view, these new guidelines have come up. So these guidelines, if you see, they have got basically 4 components. And 4 components, if you see, first has the exempted category. This is basically to give less and less stress to those category which are using very less amount of water, like MSME or the individual user. And even in agriculture sector also, we have given exemption because of the 2-3 reasons. One is the major reason is because they are producing the food grains for the country, and they are the main who has basically given us the green revolution. And there are also political issues because controlling the directly controlling the agriculture sector will affect the food grain production of the country. So second part is actually we are dealing with the drinking water requirement for the apartments and the group housing societies. Agriculture, as I told, we have given them a basically exemption. We are not after them. And then basically the fourth part is the commercial use, and it forms the main part of the guidelines, which says the commercial use of water, how we should use, and what are the precautions we should take, what are the compliances we should make before using the water for commercial use. So as I told, the exempted category, they are individual domestic consumers. Then rural drinking water supply schemes are exempted from this. Armed force, central armed force establishments, micro and small enterprises which are drawing less than 10 KLD of water, they are exempted from this guideline, paying anything and getting any sort of NOC from us. Agriculture, I have told, this is also out of the purview of the guideline. Under the domestic category, if you say the drinking and domestic for the residential apartment, we have made the guideline. They need to seek the NOC for these group housing societies, government water supply, especially in the urban areas. And for commercial use, which is the main focus of today's discussion, we have basically three verticals. First is industry, second is mining, and third is basically infrastructure projects. Under industry, what actually basically aim at by the government wanted to adopt the efficient water use technology so that the dependence on the groundwater is reduced. And what we actually basically envisage that when you come after the taking NOC from us, you come up with a technology such that you reduce your water footprint by 20% in the 3 year. Then this is not compulsory, but what we say, whatever the bylaws in your area, you use the bylaws for using the rainwater harvesting. So we are not insisting on this because this is being already taken up by the urban ministry. And what we are saying that in the industry where the pollution is likely to occur, they should have a valid protection type of thing, so that the pollution do not go to the aquifers, because once the aquifer is polluted, it is very difficult to remediate it. And that's why the NGT has also told that there should not be any injection of treated or untreated water into the aquifer. And we should promote recycle and reuse. This is the basic theme for the industry. And coming to the mining, the basic focus of the government is basically when you are taking a lot of water from the groundwater, it should be gainfully utilized either for the captive plant or for irrigation purposes or for the drinking water requirement of the surrounding area. Then wherever there is a coal or base metal projects, advanced dewatering techniques need to be engaged. Then similarly, as we are given for industry, in mining area, wherever they have a small establishment, they should use the rainwater harvesting as per the building bylaws prevailing in that area. Coming to the infrastructure, we have envisaged to promote the treated water, so that we have asked them to install in the new infrastructure what is coming up now, not for the old, that wherever the requirement is more than 20 KLD, they need to establish the STP, and whatever water is coming out, it should be used from the proper use within the society campus or the infrastructure project campus. And similarly, they should also use the rainwater harvesting as per the building bylaws. And they should promote recycle and reuse, as I told. The topic of this discussion is basically what is the government perspective and what is the industry perspective. So let us first discuss on the government perspective side on the industry and mining sector. So we and the NGT basically have this thing in mind that let us ensure proper use and maintain a safe level of water level or the usage level of the aquifer by assessing the situation. And this can be done by doing an assessment impact report, introducing water charges, because once the water charges are there or EC is there or panel provision is there, so definitely there will be lesser use. We have seen this thing in the last 3-4 months. There are at least 15-20 cases where the project or the applicants have reduced their demand when they got the charges, the what you call the quote for the charges. When we send that this much amount you have to submit, they reduce their charges and they requested, they wanted to reduce. Then other is, this was the demand management. So here we want to enhance the availability. As you all aware that we have told that industry need not go for the rainwater harvesting or artificial recharge because they are not expert in that field. So this side is to be taken up by the government. So whatever money we are collecting from the industry, we are in process of creating a water conservation fund, and they already were in discussion with the Ministry of Finance. So once that is taken up, then government itself will take up the recharge and conservation measures at government level and the state government level. And wherever there is a large number of withdrawal, we will be taking the conservation schemes and recharge schemes. And I already told that introduction of charges like abstraction charges, penalty and EC, this has been a deterrent, and a lot of the applicants have come down with their water demand. And definitely, if you are metering and you are monitoring the requirements, this withdrawal, so that basically help you to reduce your pumpage. Audit we have introduced, as I told that within the 3 months when industry has come for us for the renewal. So though they need to come up with some sort of a proposal that they will reduce their requirement by 20%. So water audit is definitely a good tool which can reduce the water footprint of the industry. And we need to look into what are the best practice in the world, and those we need to adopt here, reduce the losses which are actually part of the water audit, and we need to adopt the efficient water technology so that we use less water, because at so many places this reference has come that India using more water for creating, say, per kg of a product than other countries. And few of the beverage companies has really come down from a very large amount to a very smaller amount, and they are very close proximity to the usage as by the international community. And definitely, we would like to have this recycle and reuse from the industry side, and that is also part of water audit. So water audit will definitely see these 4-5 things, and we think that after 3 years when the industry will come, they will definitely bring down their requirement. For infrastructure projects, what is the government perspective was basically, we introduced the charges, penalties, EC, and we propose that the industry should now launch some water efficient appliances so that the consumption in the domestic sector is reduced, and recycle and reuse should be basically we have introduced in the new projects. But if there are some portable plants or smaller plants, then existing one can also adopt those. And then metering we have given to all, because earlier though, even for the exempted category also, we have issued a notice that they should install the meter so that their withdrawal, whenever some agency required to monitor, they can go and check that they are using it appropriately and they are not wasting this precious resource. Industry has done a lot of work earlier also. So there are few initiatives I would like to just refer back here, that there are very good initiatives taken by the industry and what more we can expect from you. So there are Ahmednagar example, there are Ralegaon Siddhi example, Apna Talab Abhiyan in Bundelkhand, and then Jal Sahel in Bundelkhand, Marvi, then Pani Foundation, Gram Vikas Navyug Mandal Rapuria, Aquadam in Maharashtra. These are few examples, and this Akar Charitable Trust in Rajasthan. The other initiative like Coca-Cola, PepsiCo and Honda. There are so many. And to popularize this thing, we have announced the water award in the last year, National Water Award. And Honda got the last year this award. This year also, we are seeking the application from the industry as well as the other stakeholders who are working in the field of water conservation or popularizing the groundwater conservation use, artificial recharge, or in the community participation they are doing, or in the schools. So from different category, we are already in process of getting the application. The information is available on our website. So we are promoting this thing through IC activity also in-house, and industry are doing also good thing. Basically, if I see the industry perspective on the guideline, so basically it is basically 5 things the industry has approached us, where we can intervene and where we can request the government to come up with some amendment in the guidelines or reduction in certain charges. Like first is reduction of the water charges. Like the mining industry, they are saying that they are basically whatever water they are withdrawing, they are actually part of it is they are putting into drains, but most of the water they are utilizing for the drinking purposes or the agriculture purposes or in gainful utilizing they are doing. So what they are telling, at least they should get some the benefit on that part of water which is being utilized by the other users. There are very stringent guidelines for submitting the this impact assessment report. We have through various notices, we have extended the timelines, but because of the NGT pressure and because recently this guidelines has come up, so we are in process of saying how to allow more time, and then we have extended time up to June for all type of projects, but these are not without EC. So they need to pay EC for late submission of the report. So industry is also asking that because of the consultants are less for even for water audit also, so they need more time to submit the audit report. Similarly, some of the industries has asked that the amount what we are levying them and we are taking advance payment for whole of the NOC period. So what they are asking basically, let us have a staggered payment, or it can be in installments, which can be adjusted at the end of the period of the NOC. This also we are in process of discussing with the ministry. And the last one, which is industry is telling that if we are submitting the documents late, so can this EC portion can be reduced or this can be removed. So this also we are also in process of discussing with the ministry. So what are the challenges we feel in implementation of these guidelines is basically, I have divided into 2 parts. One is basically the monitoring mechanism, and other is basically the availability of the workforce for the this implementation of this guideline, who will be supporting the industry and the infrastructure to come up with the various type of documents. So coming to the first one, the monitoring mechanism, we are working with the common specification of water meters or the piezometer DWLRs. Those are required by the industry. We will be posting on our website so that a common type of equipments, and then we will think out that whether we can list out some vendors also. And then we are also in process of developing a common platform to directly obtain data from the telemetry systems. And recently we are also in process of developing a mobile app through which this compliance is self-inspection by the industry, and this monitoring process can be done through the app by the applicant itself. Because now the whole inspection and compliances are manual, our officers are going, because we expect a lot of industry will be there. So it will not be feasible for us to visit each and every site. And whatever we are doing, if the photographs and whatever the information, if they are geolocated, then I think we need not go there. So we are in process of developing a application where this what you call the mobile application, and it will be coming within a month's time. So on the iOS as well as the Android. So that will help the industry. Second part is creating a workforce of auditors as well as the accredited consultants. For the auditors, we are going to have a course with this NPC is going to have a course during the first week of April, and they have submitted the program, and they are going to have a 3-tier program wherein the new and the old persons, new and the old auditors, they will be getting the training. Probably we will be having it in the RGI Raipur. And second one is the main constraint is basically we have just posted a list of accredited consultant on the Monday itself, and we found very less people and very less companies who can do the required work for the industry. So we are also thinking to have certain type of orientation courses for those consultants which are probably not that much conversant with the recent guidelines and the required task in the field. For them also, we are thinking to have this thing. So this is all is from my side. Thank you very much for listening to me. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Sri Sunil Kumar, member Central Groundwater Authority, for not only setting the context of this webinar topic, that is new groundwater guidelines, government and industry perspective, challenges and way forward. Also detailing out the vision of Central Groundwater Authority, why they have come up with this guideline, and how both industry and government can collaborate together, and what industry needs to do, and how newest technology service providers can be leveraged for the same. You have talked about excessive utilization of groundwater, especially in the western zone of the country and some parts of the southern zone, and to overcome those challenges, what are the ways that is to adopt water efficient technologies? That is one of the most important part you have said. And to overcome the challenges, you talked about a monitoring mechanism, common water metering and common platform to obtain data. And also you talked about mobile app. I think in the course of this discussion, other speakers will also chip in and also give their perspective for sure. I have a question for you. I can already see that a lot of questions are coming in for a lot of speakers for this panel. But I have a question for you that, taking you from what you've said, even in the recent guidelines, recent notification by CGWA, it talks about that industry shall install tamper-proof flow meters on the groundwater abstraction structures. So I would just like to take a perspective from, because there's the audience, some of them might not know what is exactly tamper-proof flow meter is all about. So can you just can you throw some light on how to define a tamper-proof flow meter and how it can be verified on the ground?
Actually, we discussed this thing with the 4 or 5 vendors who are popular in the market and who have done very good work. So Christum is one of them. They are doing innovative work with the IIT Kanpur, and a few more from South IOTA, and we got. So we told this thing that how come we have a tamper proof? Then they come up with this thing that first thing they should be inbuilt with a battery backup of say 4 or 5 years, and they should not be open to all the data. Data should be directly transmitted from the meter to the server. In between, it should not be manipulated, because in case it is being sent through PC or some other device, at that time there are possibility of tampering the data. And the cumulative, what you call because when water is coming through the meter, so it sample at a certain frequency, and then it aggregate the data on the basis of say hour or say minute or say 15 minutes or say half an hour. So that aggregation also, what they're telling, aggregation should also be at the level of server. It should not be in the meter or in between device. And it should be fitted within the delivery pipe. So no bypass should be there. That's what we got from the meter producers.
Right. We'll discuss more about this, and we'll have a perspective from Christian Technologies and also from UP Groundwater Department, also from industry. But before that, as Mr. Sunil Kumar has said, he has given an overview in the context of this webinar on the effective usage of groundwater. Let's have a quick look at a short video, and let's see how Mr. Sunil Kumar has talked about how industry and some vendors and vendors are using newest technologies to address this problem. So can we have that short video played on the screen, please? Prabhakar, can we have that video, please?
Our top priority is to develop flow meters that address present challenges faced, whilst effectively and effortlessly measuring water flow in the areas of drinking water supply, automation, and others. There are thousands of users who need to track this information on an hourly, daily, and monthly basis, and Dhara Flow Meter instrument infuses new hope to water managers and precision to data-driven decisions.
After the government imposed regulation to monitor and record the daily water usage, the flow reading have to be collected every day manually and the logbooks have to be kept proper. Any discrepancy might lead to a penalty or sometimes even termination of the factory license. Being a leader, it is important to maintain the efficiency of the process. We can't visit all the sites personally throughout the day. There is a need of a track process remotely from office or from home through a mobile phone or something handy to ensure everything is being done as per the protocol.
We rigorously tested different aspects of the Dhara flow meter under different flow conditions. We found that the Dhara flow meter has low margins of error and an impressive data transmission model. The most remarkable feature of the Dhara flow meter is its simple but robust design, which makes it appropriate for long-term unattended flow measurements.
We are huge believers of leveraging science and technology in all that we do. Dhara Flow Meter is designed in such a way that the user can access real-time data via a web-based system and can also get SMS alerts about flow measurements. This brings to the table a unique means of empowerment to the users by encouraging data-driven decisions. The instrument is an ultrasonic full-bore flow meter which does not have any moving parts. Thus, the instrument has no pressure loss and has a longer life. The instrument is conveniently available in both battery and AC power options. And yes, our instrument is FCRI certified.
My experience in measuring water flow has been changed for the better. My interaction with the device is minimal and all relevant data that previously had to be manually noted and accessed through the logbook is now available on my mobile device just at my fingertips. It was a wise decision to invest in Dhara flow meter.
That was an insightful video, a short, crisp video, but its message is clear that what are the important factors of using Dhara flow meter, which can actually be the game changer according to experts. And I'm sure that this kind of deliberation, this kind of knowledge sharing platform will actually help young minds like Vinay and with the help of experienced minds like Sunil Kumarji or Anupamji to to avail new heights in the near future. We had a perspective from CGW. We saw a short video by Crystal Technologies. And let's have a perspective from the state, one of the important states which has got its own groundwater act, that is state of Uttar Pradesh. We have with us a special guest, Mr. Anupam, Executive Engineer, UP Groundwater Department. We welcome Mr. Anupam. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you. And thank you, Savik. And good morning to all of you, all of the speakers. And very good morning to Sunil Kumar, sir.
Good morning, sir.
Morning.
So my question to Mr. Anupam will be that
Yes, yes,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
Okay, you can start with the question, or let me proceed with the some of the facts of the UP Groundwater Act.
Yeah, so I'll just ask, I think the question which I'm going to ask you will actually cover
Okay.
UP groundwater department. So I know that UP is one of the few states with its own groundwater act.
Right,
If you
right.
can please highlight how UP groundwater department is planning to support industries and other bulk groundwater users in state to be water efficient. I think this answer will actually encompass what UP groundwater department is doing. Over to you, Mr. Anupam.
Yes, yes. Your question has frame out all the features which I have to speak here. The question was already covered all those. First of all, let me thank to the organizer for such an interactive session on the groundwater management, as well as the new technologies for the sustainable use of groundwater in the state of UP, as well as in the entire country. Groundwater Department UP is acting as a nodal department for conservation, management, and regulation of groundwater resources in UP. Of course, most of the things like the basic objectives of the act has been discussed by the Sunil Kumar sir. And in fact, the UP has drafted its act on the basis of the Model Act of 2016 provided by the ministry. Sunil Kumar sir better acknowledge that fact. They have shared the Model Act in 2016, and after a series of discussion, we have finalized drafted our act, and it has been enacted on 2nd of October. That is on Mahatma Gandhi Jayanti. 2019, and later we have also drafted and finalized the rules for provisions of the act in February 2020. So if we talk about the basic objective of the act, it's we know if we talk about the sustainable management, there are two parts, two important vital parts. That is, one is supply side interventions and one is demand side interventions. Supply side, we all know various schemes of water conservation like check dams and ponds and etc. And if we talk about the demand side interventions, act is basically regulating the extractions, basically regulating the extraction as well as the promoting the judicious use. So we can take act on the demand side if I'm not wrong. Demand side interventions, we all know that is drip and sprinkler, uh, everyone knows, but regulation of the resource, regulation of the extraction is a vital part of the demand side. So act is fulfilling that purpose. Uh, if we talk about the guidelines of the, on the basis of 2016 Model Act, we have drafted our act, and further CW has revised their guidelines on the 2024 September 2020, and they have shared the guidelines. Like some of the features like exemption of the MSMEs in notified area. We have also incorporated those. In fact, it is being incorporated. It's with the I department as at presently for the vetting of the proposal. And you are talking about the industrial perspective. In the case of the CGWA as well as in our act, there's a certain provision of the monitoring of the flows. Like if we grant NOC, we grant authorization for the extraction of groundwater, we grant that permission with a certain uses, certain annual uses, which can be cross-examined with the flow meters. Flow meters, it's there in the guideline as well as is there in our act as well. And in UP, I want to submit that we have APAC authority in the chairmanship of the chief secretary, and we have discussed how how we can incorporate flow meters with the various industry. We have discussed the specifications of the flow meters under the chairmanship of the our chief secretary level. And we have discussed the specification with the most few vendors. Like one is here, Christian Technologies. They have come up with a very efficient equipment, which seems to be tamper-proof. We have to test it out in the field as well. So I think these are the major objectives. Most of the thing has been like a major objectives of the act has been discussed by the Sunil Kumar sir. It's there from my side.
Right, Mr. Anupam. Thanks a lot for sharing with us the overall work
And
management of UP Groundwater
one thing,
Department, and
one thing,
also
one thing more, sir. If we are talking about the industrial perspective, I just want to recall. I think IAA is also here. IAA is also here.
Industry Association of Uttarakhand is here today.
Achha, Uttarakhand is there. We have prior to finalizing the drafts of the act, we have series of discussion with the IIA. So how industries can be better benefited with the provisions of the act, like there were the previously the piling of the cases with the CGWA. Now we have decentralized the entire system for granting the NOC. Previously, it was with the CGWA, and it was a centralized system which provide the NOCs. But in UP, we have decentralized the entire system for the granting of the NOC. Now we have District Management Council in the chairmanship of the district magistrate of the East District, and they are taking up the application, they are granting NOCs, they are permitting the users, they are providing the registrations. So I mean, it's for the ease of the industries. We have not for that, not only that. We have also developed an online portal for the ease of application as well as the transparent to make transparent system, and we have appointed nodal officers to access that portal. They will work as on behalf of the district council. They will get the application, they will pile up the application, they will present it to the district council, and they will decide on the case within the timeline of the 30 days. So we are working for the sustainable management as well as for the overall development of the UP. If you talk about the overall development, it definitely industry has the vital part to play. And so we are thinking for the betterment of the procedural lacking what we have previously with the CGWA. Thank you.
I'm sure the deliberations made by you, Mr. Anupam, will be of utmost importance for the industry representatives who were part of this webinar, who have joined us to hear all of you, and also companies who are trying to make a change, be the game changer for the effective usage of groundwater management. I have a question to you before I move to other speakers. Mr. Anupam, are there any plan of UP groundwater department to implement tamper-proof or battery-operated flow meters? Or is this part of that as well?
Yes. If you go through our act, it's if we particularly quoting the clause 16(3) for the groundwater, like water conservation charges, what we have discussed in the CGW guideline. We have similar charges like groundwater extraction fees. If we go to the 16(3) subsection 3 of section 16, it clearly says we permit the users for the certain quantum of users for the on the annual basis, and it is being cross-examined with the flow meters, like number of hour of the daily pumping, number of days of the annual pumping, and thereby multiplying with the discharge, we can get the annual quantum of the extraction. This will have to be cross-examined. This will have to be audited by the third-party agencies. So we are desperately in the search of the quality tamper-proof flow meters. Because we know we all have the biomedia for the tampering it to the best of our knowledge, to the best of our seen equipments. The equipment submitted, what we have demonstrated by the Christian technologies, it seemed to be on the standards of the tamper-proof flow meters.
Okay, right. I think companies like Krishnam and other companies who are trying to be part of this ecosystem has heard about this, especially subclause 16.3 of Section 60 of the Groundwater Act. They should read that minutely so that they can get some guidance on how to go about it. Thank you so much, Mr. Anupam. I think we'll get back to you again, but subject to if you have enough time for Q&A. But I think we'll have some time for Q&A. I'll come back to you. I'll move to Mr. Vinay Chittaraju, co-founder of Krishnam Technologies. Vinay, Krishnam has been doing a great work with Central Water Commission over the years for monitoring river water levels. And I think, if I'm not wrong, that your work has impacted in the recent flash floods in Uttarakhand also, in terms of river monitoring, water level monitoring. And it's great to have you with us today. And the system has been leveraging the new groundwater guidelines as well. And you're talking to industries, and I think you claim that if you use technology, you can actually reduce the water usage by 20% in 3 years by water auditing. Do you think that it is practically possible, and are there any latest technologies coming up in this direction? Your take on that, Vijay? Vinay?
Thanks, Shovik. So it's honored to be along with the other panelists here. Like you rightly said, so we have been working with various water departments in India, so including Central Water Commission, irrigation department, and municipalities, ULBs, rural water supply, and also the groundwater departments. So in the whole process of so working with them for the last 5 years in the various water departments, so what I primarily felt was so water management in India is primarily a guesswork. We do not have much data points available in the water field to come strongly say that, okay, so this is what is there, this is what the future looks like. So we have the one decade, 2 decades plan. We don't have it. I was with the power sector before, so on the smart grid, so advanced metering infrastructure. So my observation says that water sector is almost 1 decade behind the power sector if I just compare the sector wise. So in the next 5 years, my recommendations, our recommendations to the various departments, so including irrigation, municipalities, and the water boards, everywhere is, let us start investing into the measurement technologies. Okay, so let's start measuring the water. Let's understand how much water is there in the rivers, how much water is there in the reservoirs, canals, how much water is going from one part to other part. So let's start measuring the flow. Let's digitize the data, and then we will, over a period of time, we'll be able to understand, okay, so this has been our usage patterns. So often when we make the policies, so we make with some assumptions primarily in the water sector. So we want to have a more of a data driven approach in of the complete water resources in the coming decade is what we wish to do. So coming to the groundwater sector also, like so we have observed that many groundwater departments all over the India have installed this DWLR, digital water level recorders, which monitors the groundwater level. What is the depth of the groundwater. So but one thing which we observed was missing is we do not have the good extraction data. So groundwater level does not change very easily in every 10 meters or 100 meters also. So the aquifers have a very complex structure, and even if we have water level recorders, a little scattered place, that is fine. But one thing which we really have to capture is how much water is being extracted from each borewell. It could be domestic, it could be agriculture, it could be industrial, it could be mining, or any other in any other requirement as such. So keeping this in the mind, since we don't have the data, when we observed, so why are there not many technologies available, we understood that there are quite a good manufacturers in India, and also international companies are also offering the metering solutions. But we observed that they are not specifically designed for the Indian market. Okay, so here we're using the latest technologies and the advancements in the battery and the electronics. We have come up with the battery operated meters, because the meter has to function independently of the person who is operating. The collection process has to be, or data collection process has to be automated. So here we have built this Dhara Smart ultrasonic flow meter, which we call it as a data gold mine. Okay, so why is it called as a data gold mine? Because in the meter, we will be able to capture a lot of other parameters other than just the flow rate and the cumulative flow. So conventionally, if you look at normal flow meters are majorly on the external power supply operated, and we have an inbuilt battery with 5 years. And the telemetry unit again is supplied externally, but we have an inbuilt telemetry unit completely packed and sealed within the meter enclosure. And they show instantaneous, so yes, that's a very basic parameter in the flow meter, and even the cumulative flow is also done there. In addition to that, we have some other parameters which we capture, which are very much useful in defining or in calculating the efficiency of the whole system, is the trip reset option. So often industries, they would require this process of, okay, so I want only 5,000 liters, but they just use it, just, so on estimate, like even the tanneries in one of their processes. So where they need to add equal proportionate of water into the drum. So where they are able to reset the one trip reset option, like how we have in the cars, wherever you're going before a trip, you reset this and then do it. And we also calculate the working hours of the pump, how many hours the pump was running. So we will be able to log when was the motor on, so the timestamp, because often in the industries, the motor operators are mostly the workers and not the managers or the owners. So they would want to understand, so how many hours my motor was running, and when did they switch on, when did they switch off. This data is going to be very valuable in capturing, okay, what are my running hours. If I have to reduce it, what should I do? If I just say that, okay, in the last 1 year, you are supposed to use, let's say, 100 lakhs liters, but you have used 150 lakh liters. So this is just a data point which is not going to help them in reducing the water. So we need to go much deeper into the, okay, so how did we increase from 100 to 150? Where should I, where do I have to focus so that my I can potentially save it. Event triggered alerts and the data transmission. So even when we are running the system on a battery, the transmission system has to be very efficient. So rather than sending the data every 5 minutes or every 1 hour, and so increasing the load on the server, so we say that, okay, let us trigger the transmission only when there is a specific alert or specific event, like okay, so an industry has 100 KL of extraction limits. So what if they get an SMS after they extract 90 KL of water? So this has been very widely accepted by the industry, saying that, okay, so since I don't know how much I'm extracting, so please give us an alerts and notifications. When should I cut off my meter, or when should I cut off my motor, or so at least I should have a notification, like how I get in my mobile app. Okay, today my daily limit is 1.5 GB. After 1 GB, I get a notification. Similarly, I want it for my so for my borewell extraction. And over the air firmware upgrades. So we will be able to upgrade as the technology is very fast changing. So so if we install it today, so industries come and complain that so every 1 year, so you change the technology, you launch a new version and do it. But how we are doing it, we have adopted the latest technologies from so Apple and Tesla, so where we are able to upgrade the firmware over the air for the meters. So this is one of the use case which we have. Some of the use cases is especially for the groundwater extraction monitoring. Though there are like meters and there are like telemetry units available in the convention in the market, but the accessibility of the data is not available. As I said, we have integrated the data in the WhatsApp. Okay, so even in the recent unfortunate event of flash floods in Uttarakhand, so when they have to take a quick decisions on, so okay, how is the water level, how is the where should the evacuation has to be done. So we were the data has to be available at a more accessible, like a WhatsApp platform. So we were able to give them alerts on, okay, so the water level is suddenly rising, water level has dropped, so this area is safe, this part is safe. Similarly, for the flow meters also, the industry owner should get these alerts in the form of WhatsApp alerts or SMS alerts when they're crossing their daily extraction limit. So because often industries say that, okay, so I have my yearly limit, I extract this month, I extract more next month, I try to compensate. But aquifer, it is not a very good for the aquifer if we extract the whole yearly requirement in 2 months and the rest of the 10 months I will not extract anything. This is not a right thing for the aquifer. So we need to extract it equally as per the daily limit which is being allocated in the NOC. So this is where we are working on giving the data at the fingertips to the each individual users. So coming to the auditing part, so that is just a meter. Meter is a data generation unit. So, but how are we going to utilize this data in reducing the overall water consumption of the industries? So, like the Act also very clearly says that the industries have to adopt suitable methods to reduce the 20% of the water consumption in 3 years. Okay, so like sir was rightly mentioning, so this is not though the Act also have taken away the harvesting and the recharge capabilities from the industries. We observe that industries need some hand holding in reducing their water consumption, because their core focus is paper, pulp, leather, pharmaceutical. This is not a right thing for the aquifer. So we are working on power generation. Water is a different subject altogether, so which needs a special attention to be, to be worked on. So we have come up with this something called continuous internal water auditing. So even if you look at our accounts, so we have two accounts. I mean, so one is an internal accounting and one is an external auditing. So though we have an external auditor, which is more for the compliance purpose, this somebody is complying as per the regulations. What we suggest was, so let us, it is recommended for the industries to have more of an internal auditing mechanism. So where you keep collecting the information irrespective of, so in an automated way. Okay, so this continuous internal water auditing will help the industries, as per our estimate, is up to 20% in just 2 to 3 years, which is again as per the requirement of the CGW Act. Again, of industries, what we observed was, so they underestimate the cost of the water. So in some of our discussions with them, say that, okay, so no, we have a very low cost of water abstraction, and so it is almost negligible, I said. But what we observed was, the highest cost of the water is not on the paying the regulation, but the storage, the pumping, and the treatment cost. These are the three major costs which are hidden, so and not very clearly visible to identify what is the unit economics associated to the water. And we will be able to track the inefficiencies and improve the water efficiency organically over a period of time, because it will be very difficult for the industries if we say that, okay, aapko raat mein pura efficiencies badalne chahiye, because no, it is a lot of human process and lot of infrastructure has to be changed. So we need to adopt such kind of system where the efficiency is increased over a long period of time. Maybe let's say 2 years, 3 years is actually a very good time where if I adopt some new technologies now, it should organically increase my efficiency. And there are also new standards which are coming up in the ISO 46001, because the world is moving towards sustainability. Most of the Indian companies, industries are exporters of outside. Even recently the big companies like Nike and some international brands have announced that, so they are going for this ISO 46001 standard, because they feel responsible, and it's time for everybody to start feeling responsibility that, okay, we don't have the resource unlimited. We have a very limited resources there. So as those brands are adopting to this 46001, the suppliers of all these brands should eventually be adopting these kind of ISO standards to ensure that we have a water efficient systems in place in this. So very briefly, how this should be done. This internal water auditing is the very first step which is required in this is digitizing of the pipeline network. Starting from our source. Source is primarily, most of the industries is borewell, or even if we have some surface water or even the treated water. So we need to, from the source till the final output, so STPs, ETPs, and so even if some of them are discharging it to the sewer lines or reusing it in this, we need to have the complete piping network in the digital format. Okay, so including the length, diameters, head, what is the height in which is there. So this is the very first step which is required in doing this internal auditing. The second step is classifying the processes. So this is, of course, industries would understand this, where if we are able to classify separately the processes, okay, so the process 1, process 2, process 3, process 4, process 5, and in each of these processes, the water usage would be different. Okay, so if, for example, we look at the tannery, so there is a RO water supply, there's a liming, there's a pickling, there's a washing. So each process can be benchmarked as per the industrial standards. Okay, suppose let's say as per the international standards, this XYZ process in an industry, it should take 10,000 liters for this process. So identifying the process and then benchmarking the processes. Okay, so as per the industrial standard, as per the international standard, as per the standards given by the manufacturer of that specific equipment, approximately, or what should be the quantum of this benchmarked usage for this specific process. So once we have the pipeline network, and once we identify the process, and once we benchmark their water needs, the next thing we need to do is installation of these meters to identify, to just capture the data. Okay, so we may not do anything. We may not start the process on day one. We may not start the audit, auto cutoff. We may not start the motor on off and all. So first thing what we suggest was, so you just install the meters, let them capture the data. Okay, so when we capture this very fine level data, so every 15 minutes, half an hour, or at least even a one day, so what is their usage in that particular specific process, and taking this data in a digital format in the online. So we have seen many industries install the flow meters, but they do manually. So they have a gauge, they have a meter reader who goes to all the processes and then note down the readings. Sometimes they skip and then they say that, हाँ चलो approximately इतना निकला है. So, but this data collection process has to be completely automated, because we don't want to cheat ourselves on what is our data. Okay, so what we show outside is a different thing, but at least for us to improve the efficiencies, we need to know what is our actual data. So we completely recommend having an automated data collection process on how much water is going into each process. And then the amazing part comes on the how do you represent this data. Okay, so once we have the whole data available in the online, so we using the live water budgeting space, we will be able to generate the daily water budgeting for each industry, and then we'll submit them in the form of a report, in the form of an SMS, email, WhatsApp alert saying that yesterday your total consumption from the source is, let's say, 100,000 KLD, and this is the distribution of your water. Process 1 50 KLD, process 2 20 KLD, process 3 5 KLD, and process 4 2 KLD. Against the benchmark, the process 1 is supposed to take this much, process 2 is supposed to take this much, process 3 is supposed to take this much. So once we have a clear segregation of, okay, so then they will clearly identify, okay, constantly my process 2 is going under low efficient, with low efficiency. So what can I do? It is just because some human, we don't have a good discipline with the human. It is possible because there is a unknown leakage in this process too. It is possible because my efficiency of the process is not as per the standards, is where we will be able to identify it. So in the final trends and analysis, this is what we'll be able to provide: total pump working hours every day, identify unit economics of water, identify process inefficiencies, identify the pumping efficiencies, identify the leakages, trends of water footprint, water demand forecast, real-time alerts and notification, electricity bill forecast, and the production forecast. So with having a good data in hand, so we'll be able to identify all this all this data just by monitoring the water usage. So this is one such process we are working on. So we'll be very happy to help any industries if they need any hand holding in reducing their overall water footprint. So we at Crystal Technologies are trying to empower nations with data-driven water management solutions, is what we are looking at. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Vinay, for giving an overview of what Krishnan is trying to do and how, what are the benefits of using battery-operated meter, especially when we talk about that using latest technologies. And in other words, it's an Indian-made thing, and we should all try to do our bit to promote this kind of solutions for effective usage of groundwater management. I can see a lot of questions are coming, and I can see some of the speakers are already replying them through question Q&A section and also in chat. We'll take one or two questions at the end, but before that, we have a special guest with you, with us. That is Mr. Mahendra Singh Tanwar, Municipal Commissioner, Ghaziabad. My question to Mr. Tanwar will be: Ghaziabad is going at a very rapid pace with many new infrastructure projects coming up. What are the challenges at ground level in implementing the groundwater regulations, and what are the various initiatives you're planning to take ensure effective groundwater management in Ghaziabad Municipal Corporation region? Mr. Mahendra, if you can, your take.
Thank you, Souvik, and hello everybody. I am Mahendra Singh Tanwar, Municipal Commissioner, Ghaziabad. So I would like to say a few things about groundwater management. See, Ghaziabad have a population of around 25 lakh as of today, and the water demand in Ghaziabad is around more than 300 MLD per day. So when we speak about groundwater management, I think out of this 300 MLD water, we are taking 55 MLD water from Ganga water, and for rest our demand, we are dependent on groundwater. So in Ghaziabad, we are doing numerous things to face this challenge. One is कि हम लोगों ने जितने भी वाटर बॉडीज हैं, वाटर बॉडीज को इस तरह से रेजुनेट करने की कोशिश की है कि जितने भी पूरे म्युनिसिपल लिमिट्स में 46 वाटर बॉडीज को चिन्हित किया और उनको हमने टेकअप करने के बाद में उस पर काम करना शुरू किया. आइडिया इज कि किस तरह से हम लोग इनको यूज करके एक इवेपोरेशन, नेचुरल इवेपोरेशन को हम इम्प्रूव करें और वाटर सीपेज को भी हम इम्प्रूव करें ताकि ग्राउंड वाटर भी हमारा जो है रिचार्ज हो जाए। तो दिस इज वन प्रोजेक्ट वी आर टेकिंग इन गाजियाबाद। वी आर रिजुविनेटिंग 46 वाटर बॉडीज इन गाजियाबाद। सेकेंड थिंग जो हम लोग कर रहे हैं, ट्रीटेड वाटर जो है वो 80% वाटर जो होता है वो हम लोग यूज नहीं करते हैं, उसको वापसी सीवरेज और ड्रेनेज के माध्यम से उसको हम लोग वापसी कर देते हैं। वी डोंट यूज वाटर। तो जो ट्रीटेड वाटर है एसटीपीज में, उसको हम किस तरह से इंडस्ट्रियल वाटर के रूप में यूज कर सकते हैं। तो वी आर वर्किंग ऑन दिस प्रोजेक्ट ऑल्सो कि एक पाइप नेटवर्क लगा के और मीटरिंग करके हम ट्रीटेड वाटर को अपने इंडस्ट्रीज को उसको उपलब्ध कराएं ताकि उनकी जो ग्राउंड वाटर डिपेंडेंसी है वो काफी रिड्यूस हो जाए। So this is second thing we are planning, and apart from this we are doing also many more things like कि रेन वाटर हार्वेस्टिंग। हमारे जितने भी इनफैक्ट टॉयलेट्स जो है म्यूनिसिपल लिमिट्स में, उन टॉयलेट्स पे की बात हो, कुछ बिल्डिंग्स में भी हम लोग प्रमोट कर रहे हैं कि वाटर रेन वाटर हार्वेस्टिंग हो। तो रेन वाटर हार्वेस्टिंग को भी हम लोग प्रमोट कर रहे हैं। इनफैक्ट वी हैव ऑल्सो टेकन वन प्रोजेक्ट इन गाजियाबाद कि इस बार 100 पार्क्स हम लोगों ने आइडेंटिफाई किए हैं जहाँ पे वाटर लॉगिंग का इशू रहता है। तो एक तरफ तो वाटर लॉगिंग लॉगिंग को भी हम लोग खत्म करेंगे और दूसरा उन्हीं पार्क्स में हम लोग रेन वाटर हार्वेस्टिंग भी इस बार हम लोग इंस्टॉल कर रहे हैं। तो इस प्रकार से हम लोग जो वाटर है उसको टैप कर पाएंगे। अपार्ट फ्रॉम दिस रेनी वेल्स भी हम लोग प्लान कर रहे हैं। करीबन 5 रेनी वेल्स भी इस टाइम पे काम चल रहा है जो कि जून 2021 तक जो है वो कंप्लीट हो जाएंगे। तो इस प्रकार काफी चीजें हैं गाजियाबाद में जो हम लोग एक साथ काम कर रहे हैं। और मुझे उम्मीद है कि धीरे धीरे जब हम लोग ना केवल ग्राउंड वाटर को निकालेंगे नहीं बल्कि रिचार्ज भी करेंगे, ये भी जरूरी है। और हमारी डिपेंडेंसी जो है ग्राउंड वाटर पे काफी कम हो जाएगी। और जो कुछ और भी लोकल इनिशिएटिव हम लोग प्रमोट कर रहे हैं म्यूनिसपैलिटी की तरफ से कि लोग जो हैं, जो पानी हम लोग घर में यूज करते हैं उसको वेस्टेज कम करें। क्योंकि अगर हम वेस्टेज करना कम करना शुरू कर देंगे तो पानी सेव करना अपने आप शुरू कर देंगे। तो अवेयरनेस कुछ कैंपेन्स भी हैं, जैसे कि आपके आरओ वाटर पे जो आप पानी यूज करते हैं तो उसको अगर हम इकट्ठा कर लें तो जो नॉन ड्रिंकिंग पर्पज होता है पानी का उसको हम इस्तेमाल कर सकते हैं। तो मुझे लगता है कि ये सारी की सारी चीजें अगर हम लोग एक साथ करें तो इस तरह से ना केवल हम अपनी डिमांड को भी रिड्यूस कर सकते हैं और बल्कि जो डिमांड बच जाती है नेट डिमांड, उसको पूरा करने के लिए भी हम अपने अलग अलग प्रोजेक्ट्स पे काम कर रहे हैं। तो ये चीजें हम लोग गाजियाबाद में कर रहे हैं।
Is that if we talk about if we talk about that, you just have mentioned that initiatives you're planning for groundwater management, especially anything you need that you want that for the industrial zone, the use of groundwater in the industrial areas of Ghaziabad Municipal Corporation. Uh, uh, how do you see that that can be managed well, especially in the
See, we
industrial area in
can't
the Ghaziabad area?
see Ghaziabad is an industrial city, so we can't say them कि आप पानी यूज नहीं करेंगे। लेकिन जो हमारा
But
ट्रीटेड वाटर है
effective use of
जो
groundwater.
यस, जो बेसिकली मैं चाहता हूँ कि उनको ग्राउंड वाटर की जरूरत ही ना पड़े। जो ट्रीटेड वाटर हमारा एसटीपीज में है, 480 एमएलडी की कैपेसिटी गाजियाबाद में है। तो ऑलरेडी हमारे पास में काफी सारा पानी है जो ट्रीटेड है, साफ है, नॉन ड्रिंकिंग पर्पज से हम सारा का सारा उस पानी को इस्तेमाल कर सकते हैं। तो उसको हम लोग पाइप नेटवर्क लगा के वापसी कैसे इंडस्ट्रीज को दे रहे हैं, इसके ऊपर हमारी एक डीपीआर रेडी हुई है, उस पर हम लोग काम कर रहे हैं।
मेरा आखिरी क्वेश्चन टू यू, माय लास्ट क्वेश्चन टू यू इज दैट यू आर अ young bureaucrat, young officer. How do you think that technology can be leveraged more for effective usage of groundwater management?
See, definitely, I mean, technology is very important in today's time. और जितना हम लोग तकनीक का इस्तेमाल करेंगे उतना ही हम अपने रिसोर्सेज को प्रॉपरली मैनेज भी कर पाएंगे। तो तकनीक का तो मुझे लगता है कि आपके ऊपर डिपेंड करता है कि आप उसको कैसे यूटिलाइज करते हैं। तकनीक तो मुझे लगता है सबमर्सिबल भी है, लेकिन हमने उसको क्या किया है, सबमर्सिबल लगा देते हैं, ग्राउंड वाटर वेस्टेज होता चला जाता है। तो एक बार बटन ऑन किया, लाइट है, लाइट इज ऑल्सो टेक्नोलॉजी, सबमर्सिबल इज ऑल्सो टेक्नोलॉजी, बट हाउ वी आर यूजिंग इट, इट इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट। तो एट द सेम टाइम मुझे लगता है कि तकनीक है उसका सही उपयोग हो, सदुपयोग हो, तो मुझे लगता है कि ग्राउंड वाटर क्या हम पूरे वाटर सेक्टर को जो है रिडिफाइन कर सकते हैं।
Thank you so much for joining us today, Mr. Mahendra Singh Tanwar. I know you have a busy schedule, you have to rush. Thank you so much for
Thank
joining us
you.
for this special webinar.
Thank you so much, Savik, and thank you everybody.
Thank you. That was Mr. Mahendra Singh Tanwar, Commissioner of Ghaziabad Municipal Corporation, and he gave his perspective, and I'm sure that many questions will be asked to him, and We can take those questions offline because he has got a very busy schedule still to join. With this, I move to Mr. Pankaj Gupta, President, Industries Association of Uttarakhand. Welcome, Pankajji. My question to you will be that we can understand that it would be tough for industries to accommodate the continuously changing environmental regulations. We are also sure that industries are already acting responsibly towards the environment and support the regulations for a greater good of the society. There will be some exceptions, but we cannot say that overall industry is not adhering to the guidelines or something like that. As a president of Industries Association of Uttarakhand, can you bring up some of the major concerns of the industry? Increasing stringency on the usage of groundwater for industrial purposes. What are the major concerns of industry, if I may ask you so?
Thank you, Mr. Somek. And I would like to thank you and the organizers for organizing this very important webinar. I was listening to Mr. Sushil Kumar, member, Central Groundwater Authority, and it was a very informative presentation which he gave us today. And he had talked on industry perspective, mining perspective, and infrastructure perspective. I think he had discussed the three perspectives in details. My basic question is, why groundwater? Why we have to go for groundwater? And I think Mr. Mahendra Singh Tanwar, Municipal Commissioner of Ghaziabad, he was very forthright. You have been talking of the technologies, but he's been talking of the other side. He said that we will be piping the treated water from the house and other sectors to industry to meet the demand. So he's giving us an alternative to groundwater. Whatever the sectors are, the agriculture, the household, or the industries, we only go for groundwater when we don't have the water from the other sources.
Yes.
So I would welcome the NGT, the Central Groundwater Authority, Central Groundwater Board, and Jal Mantralaya and other people now getting conscious about, yes, conserving the groundwater, recharging the groundwater, and all those things. And as industries, yes, we are conscious about everything. And if we talk in context of Uttarakhand, we already have zero discharge policy as far as few industrial areas are concerned, and we are also trying to implement in other areas. So we are not wasting any even a drop of water. So as far as these zero discharge policies and others, we are recharging our water, we are using our water, the treated water. So we are bringing down the consumption levels as far as the water consumptions are concerned. So industry is responsible. Industry is responsive, and industry is for all out for control and management as far as these. But frequently changing these rules, acts, regulations, and all those things, this does affect us. See, we have our money, we have taken money from institutions also. We have to meet the production criteria also, everything. And every now and then when there are changes, so these affect our bottom lines also, this affects our production also. This, at times, this also forces to close down the industries also. So we need to have one policy in place now. Time ki, yes, we decide upon, yes, this is what we are going to do, and this is what you should be doing. So that is important. The consistency, the certainty in regulations, rules, and everything, the policy should be there. Because this then affects our mindset. This deters the investments, this deters the investors, and at the end of the day, we lose productions. And you see why so much of production has shifted to China and other countries. It is only because of this complexity that develops due to different things, which hurts the industries every time. So you give us something, but tell us, yes, this is going to be there for next 30 years, 40 years, 50 years down the line. Not that every year, every 6 months, every time you are coming out with different new things. After all, it is my hard-earned money. I paid taxes on that. It cannot be every time I can be taken for a ride. So decide upon something where, if you have come out with the new guidelines, tell us that yes, these guidelines are going to stay there for now, another 10 years, 15 years. Because you have worked on it, you have consulted everyone on that. Now, at least you should tell us on that. So this is one of my important points which I wanted to make here when you had talked of, yes, Uttarakhand is one of the major industrial hubs which has come up. And I've already told you, we are very conscious as industries, we are playing a very responsible role. Since Mr. Sushil Kumar is here, sir, the state of Uttarakhand had enacted Uttarakhand Groundwater Regulation Control of Development and Management Act in the year 2016. But after that, I think we have not put in place the other things. We still have to go for NOCs through the Central Groundwater Authority. So why, I think 15 states have already done that. They have their own process in place. So why are you not impressing upon, once we have already done that act and it is now 5 years down the line, why we have, I don't know whether the rules are there or not, or and the system is in place or not. Why don't you impress upon the state government to do that? That is one of my prime concerns as far as this thing is concerned. The second thing is, when I was going through on your website, the accredited water auditors list consists of 3 associations, and the fourth one is the National Productivity Council you have talked of, who are going to basically further have a panel of auditors here. The numbers are too less, sir. And we are being subjected to a lot of time wastage and very high fee. Why don't you put in more and more water accreditor auditors in place? When we want something to be done, it should be, if we look from the Uttarakhand perspective, we only have 2 people to do that. And can a state of Uttarakhand with 2 people, as industries, we suffer? You have your timelines where I have to meet your timelines. But when we don't have those qualified people or the empaneled people, how are we going to take these things forward, sir? Why don't you have more and more people here? And there has been question about one of the persons whom you have already had. I'm not going to get into those details, sir. So this is another point I wanted to highlight here, sir. And second point is, when I was going through the Ministry of Jal Shakti public notice, at point number 6 and at point number 7, since the last date for submission of application for NOC by existing users was 30/6/2020. 30/6/2020 was when we were in the lockdown period, sir. Existing users except exempted categories who have submitted their applications for NOC after 30/6/2020 and before 24/9/2020 shall be liable to pay penalty of ₹1 lakh under Section 15 of Environmental Protection Act. And similarly, there's penalty in clause number 7 also, sir. Why don't we extend this time to 31st March to 2021? You know under what difficult circumstances we were going through. We had the challenge to start our production, to stand up, to retain our manpower, and other challenges. We don't want, yes, we don't want to comply with. But why the penalty? Give us time. Relax this penalty clause at least till 31 March 2021. मतलब वो तलवार हमारे ऊपर, छोटे बड़े सबके ऊपर, आपके जो पेनल्टीज हैं एक साथ एक ही लेवल के हैं. अगर आप अपने गाइडलाइंस में देखें, आपने एक तरह के ही पेनल्टीज, चाहे छोटा क्राइम करो, चाहे बड़ा करो, चाहे उससे बड़ा करो, आपने एक ही तरह के पेनल्टीज लिस्ट आउट करे हैं, और वो भी लाखों में, कहीं हजारों में तो है ही नहीं. मतलब इतना बड़ा अपराध तो नहीं है ना कि लाखों में मेरे पे पेनल्टीज आप शुरू से इम्पोज कर रहे हैं. मतलब ठीक है, पेनल्टी होना चाहिए, पर पेनल्टी डज नॉट मीन कि इतना हैवी पेनल्टीज हो कि इंडस्ट्री बिल्कुल ही खत्म हो जाए. 2 लाख, 2 लाख, 2 लाख, 5 लाख, इतना हैवी पेनल्टीज जो है ये तो बहुत ज्यादा है, सर. तो मेरा आपसे रिक्वेस्ट ये है कि वी नीड टू रिविजिट दिस. और जो हमारा पब्लिक नोटिस है, जो हमारा 26 अक्टूबर को आया है, इसमें मेरा आपसे रिक्वेस्ट ये है कि क्लॉज 6 और क्लॉज 7 में जो पेनल्टीज आपने प्रपोज किए, इसको कम से कम रिलैक्स करके 31 मार्च 2021 तक मुझे टाइम दीजिए कि मैं अपना आपके पास अप्लाई करके, क्योंकि आपके बहुत सारे उसमें कंडीशंस हैं, इम्पैक्ट असेसमेंट रिपोर्ट मेरे को देना, और भी बहुत सारी चीजें देनी है। और ऑडिटर्स अवेलेबल नहीं थे, आदमी इधर का उधर जा नहीं सकता था, इतने कंस्ट्रेंट्स थे। जब सारे सब डिपार्टमेंट्स रिलैक्स करने को तैयार हैं तो हम क्यों नहीं करने को तैयार हैं? हम आपके साथ खड़े हैं सर, कंधे से कंधा मिला के, पर हमें कहीं तो एक वो दीजिए ना, थोड़ा सा वो दीजिए ना, थोड़ा सा संभलने के लिए। एक मेरा और इम्पोर्टेंट वो चीज है कि जो आप कहते हैं कि हम नई से नई और बेस्ट ऑफ टेक्नोलॉजीज अडॉप्ट करें, तो कहीं ना कहीं मेरे को इंसेंटिवाइज तो करें सर। अगर मैं टेक्नोलॉजीज को, बेस्ट ऑफ टेक्नोलॉजीज अडॉप्ट करने के लिए जा रहा हूं, तो जो मैं आपको वाटर चार्जेस दे रहा हूं उसमें मेरे को 10%, 20% कुछ तो कंसेशन दीजिए ना सर। मतलब आई एम देयर फॉर यू। तो मैं अगर अपना वाटर कंजम्पशन को रिड्यूस कर रहा हूं तो कुछ मेरे को बेनिफिट्स तो दीजिए। अगर मैं ग्राउंड वाटर क्रेडिट्स की हमने हमेशा आपसे बात करा है, अगर मैं आपने मेरे को कहा कि रिचार्ज इतना होना चाहिए, आपका तो नहीं है, म्युनिसिपल आपको इतना रिचार्ज करना है। अगर उसके ऊपर जो मैंडेटरी रिचार्ज मेरे को करना है उसके ऊपर रिचार्ज करता हूं, तो मेरे को ग्राउंड वाटर क्रेडिट्स मिलने चाहिए, जिसका मेरे को आपके चार्जेस में या उसमें रिलीफ मिलना चाहिए। तो इस तरह के आप अगर इंसेंटिवाइज करेंगे, आई थिंक इंडस्ट्री विल बी मोर एंड मोर फोर्थकमिंग कि मैं जल्दी से जल्दी, ज्यादा से ज्यादा ग्राउंड वाटर रिचार्ज करूं, ग्राउंड वाटर यूज को कम करूं। उस तरह की चीजें, अगर इनोवेशंस को हमें लाना पड़ेगा जब हम मैनेजमेंट और कंट्रोल की अगर बात करते हैं, वो कहीं मिसिंग है। दूसरा सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट चीज जो मैंने इसमें पाई है गाइडलाइंस में मिसिंग है, आपने हमारे ऊपर तो सारा वो लाद दिया, पर दूसरी पार्ट जो है स्टेट गवर्नमेंट और जो लोकल बॉडीज का है, जिनको की एक वाटर इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर क्रिएट करके हमको एक प्रॉपर वाटर सप्लाई देना चाहिए, उनके ऊपर आपने कुछ वो नहीं किया। तो मेरा आपसे आग्रह है, निवेदन है कि उनको भी तो इसमें लूप में लाने की कोशिश करिए कि वो एक टाइम बाउंड तरीके से जो वाटर इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर उनको क्रिएट करके, ताकि ग्राउंड वाटर यूसेज पे हमारा डिपेंडेंसी कम हो, तो उस पे भी आप हमारा जो है उसको भी कहीं ना कहीं उसको भी स्ट्रीमलाइन कराने का कोशिश करें। थैंक यू।
Thank you so much, Mr. Pankaj Gupta. I'm sure some of the questions raised by you, Mr. Sunil Kumar, can answer that. But yeah. I think I can see that Mr. Sunil is taking note of your statement, and I'm sure that he'll get back to you, or you can discuss this offline as well. But I think these are the genuine concerns of industry which has been raised in this platform.
Respond here. It will take only 2-3 minutes.
Yeah, sure.
The first point raised by him is basically the why few states have only taken up the state groundwater authority and others have not adopted. So we are working with the states since 1998 and we are pursuing them. We circulated the model bill to them that these are the bills, please come up with your own authority. There are few states, they have got authority, they are still not using, like Maharashtra. Maharashtra has got authority, but they are still sending application to us. We are processing them because now charges has been included. So 3 states has come up, the Punjab, Haryana and the UP, and Odisha is in process. So ministry has a view that we should not regulate any part of the India. It should be the state who should regulate, and they should, because it is their resource, they should regulate it. So we are pursuing them, and even now we are in process of this. We are writing to them, you create your authority and do your work. Second question which is raised is the concern that the auditors are very less. So when we had a first meeting, we were told by these 4 organizations that we have got about list of 200 auditors in India which are registered. But when we asked from them, give us a list, it was not available. Then we pursued them, let us have a training of the new peoples. So we are going to have it in the first week of April, and they have submitted a course content. It has been seen by the secretary, sir. Now they are asking certain fundings, so we will be pursuing that. Penalty provision I will take in the last. And the fourth one was incentivization if we are saving the water. So I think it is automatically, when you are 20% saving, you are paying less to the government, 20% less you are paying. And groundwater credits, what is told for recharge purposes, the guideline has told that this is not a work of the industry. Let us government take certain responsibility on their shoulder. Let them do the resources with these recharge purposes. And whosoever has done recharge earlier, we are giving them 50% rebate. And they're maintaining the system. And regarding this creation of infrastructure of this supplying of water, say surface or groundwater, whatever is required for the industrial belt, I would request whosoever is present in the here in the this meeting or this webinar from the states, they kindly pursue with the respective government, because it is a state subject. They need to have prepare for this. And I think because wherever the industries are coming, they prepare a plan for supply of water. So I think they should pursue that. And coming to the penalty, sir, it's a really very, really sensitive issue, penalties and then the EC. Sir, we got a very bad name and very bad directions and this thing in the NGT. What they are telling that we, with the industry has connivance, and then we are allowing them to extract as much water as they want. And this is very bad on the part of CGWA. When, sir, I joined in the August, I myself proposed this thing, let us extend this date from 30 June to 31st December. And it was clearly told to me that it will be against the direction of the NGT. You cannot do this thing. So, sir, that's why we could not do. But again, certain industries has represented us, like cement industry, sugar industries, coal industry. We are in process of again sending the case to ministry on the basis that, because Ministry of Environment and Forest, they have given a circular that there are certain compliances which could not be taken up due to this corona. So for the renewal of those, or for the complying those compliances, we are giving a relaxation period to 31st March. So on the same ground, we are pursuing the government that let us extend this date without penalty to 31st March. But let us see, sir, because it's not me who is taking decision. There are a lot of people in the channel. And then we are putting up the case with a positive note. And on the similar ground, we are given that the lockdown period industry could not prepare this type of reports, what we are asking. And there are limited number of people in the market who can prepare these things. Let us see what decision comes. And probably I am very much optimistic that we will get a positive decision.
Thank you so much, Sunil Kumar, for answering most of the questions raised by Mr. Pankaj Gupta. I'm sure you both can take this offline as well, but I think the concerns raised by Mr. Pankaj Gupta were adequately answered by Mr. Sunil Kumar. And for last 1.5 hours, we're having a very insightful discussion on various aspects of groundwater management and how technology innovation can be leveraged for the same. We have the last speaker, but the very important speaker of this webinar. We have with us Mr. Venkaya Varlamudi, Project Manager, Solidarity Asia. Thank you so much, Mr. Venkaya, for joining us today.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon to Sunil Kumar and organizers.
Yeah.
And,
so my question to you, Mr.
Can you hear me? Yeah.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
So my question to you will be very simple. That Solidarity has been actively working to improve water use efficiency tanneries of Kanpur belt for many years now. How do you think that the new groundwater guidelines will actually help support your initiative? And what are the probable methods to reduce water consumption in industries, because you're working in this sector for many years? Yes. So I think if you can address those.
Okay, thank you. By the constraint of the time, I can directly go to the small presentation.
Sure.
And there we can, I'd like to share. Can you see this? Okay. Can it?
It is visible.
Visible. Okay. So Solidarity is the Dutch-based NGO organization funded by the Dutch Ministry of Industry, and we have a project in Kanpur. From 2017, we have launched this project in Kanpur, and on directly related with water, efficient water usage and pollution prevention. Based on this, we are working from last 3.5 years in Kanpur, and Solidaridad is a Netherlands-based organization. We are present in 50 plus countries, and we work most of the 14 plus commodities. Most of them are agriculture and some of the industrial commodities. We work on sustainable promotion of supply chain from these commodities. Leather is the latest commodity, and this is our project code. We have taken up this 40%, not Central Groundwater Authority is saying 20% reduction, but it is ambitious target, and we took tanneries is the industry where the more water, because the leathers are processed in the water, and we have taken up this as a ambitious target, and we are achieving this with the help of custom solutions and with the in-house practices, greener technology, adopting greener technologies all together, not by single this. And these are our project consortium members. We are with UP Jal Nigam, Solidaridad, PUM is a Netherlands expert and facilitated by Kingdom of Netherlands and supported by Netherlands. And we do this is the way we work, engage, improve, innovate, ensure sustainability. And I don't want to much go too deeper on this. And we go with the tanneries, we visit and find what is the gap analysis. We find from top to bottom, inch to inch of the tannery, we check everything, we consult with people, and we come with solutions like this is the where we found the major thing is where the water used in the industry is wasting. They were, until now, they were using water in a guessing way. Let's say 100, they have a processing of leather, have a recipe, standard on recipe. Let's say in one process, 100% water. 1 kg of material need 1 liter of water, and 1 ton, 1,000 liter. But what worker will be there, directly pipe the insert, sir, until this level, this will be 800 liter, at 1,000 liter. But they were not practicing at all. But we insisted, and we, through our support, we have shown water flow meters. We have showed them this is wrong. And by this installing simple water flow meters, we have audited the same tannery. Owner itself surprised. 36% water we have been able to save by the simple installation of water measuring meters. And we have, this is for the pollution prevalence. TDS is the biggest issue of the tanning industry. And we have innovated one desalting mission, because skins and hides are cured with the salt and all. And they were putting into the drum for the first processing. They put it water, and salt will be dissolved in the water, and that water TDS, high TDS content water will be there. But solid we can remove by this type of mission. We have invented there in Kanpur itself. We have given it to some of the tanneries, and we proved 33% TDS, which is the high pollution load, we can able to reduce by simple intervention. This is also we are providing for the tanneries. And central research institutes, and we have a partner called STOL. It is a Netherlands-based, again, they are the leader in chemical supplies of the leather industry. They have a technology called pickle free. Earlier, in 100% of water, the chrome tanning is done in the drum. But they have some innovative chemicals, latest chemicals. With these chemicals, we can reduce 40% of water straight away in chrome tanning of the leather. And in same context, and we do have a Central Leather Research Institute technology, waterless chrome tanning. Chrome tanning can be done without water also, with only minimum with the water prior operation. With that operation itself, we can remove all the water and we can do chrome tanning. This both we have given them options to the tanner. It is not that you go with only this technology and basketful. Wherever the new technology is there, we bring in and we do R&D here and we give it to the tanneries. They can adopt to, according to their buyer needs. And they are, and so I can go for one more small.
Yeah, Mr. Venkaya.
Yeah, just a minute, one more.
Yeah.
And can you see this?
Yes, we can see that.
Okay. These are the main problems. Excessive water consumption, pollutants are TDS, BOD, COD, chromium, poor solid waste management, housekeeping, all these things. And you can see this, this is called flushing, where the main groundwater is used. When they are removing a flush from that height, the water should be there on the roller. The water should be continuously. But when they take height to the mission and until they do operation, exactly is required only 12 seconds. But continuation water flow will be on there on the mission. And what we thought we invented, we with the small solenoid valve and the limit switch, it's a small retrofit cost about 12,000 rupees, and we have fitted to the existing mission, and we can able to save more than 55 to 60% of the water at that stage. It means in one working day operation in tannery can save more than 5,000 to 6,000 liters, depend upon their production. It may extend to 10,000 liters. This is the simple thing, and we have provided this to 99 tanneries with our fund. And this is the thing. Instead of water flow meters with Krishnam solutions, because we are in Kanpur and we have interaction with Vinay and Arsha, and we, as a sample, we have introduced to water flow meters to the drums, and we have getting data, and some of the tanners, owners of the tanners, they are so happy. And earlier they don't have this type of thing. We go to the tannery, this is very good. You know how much water you are using, and Central Groundwater Authority regulations are going to come. You have to compare all these things for future, and this is the awareness creation we are doing. They are adapting slowly now. Almost 10 industries in adoption, and along with Krishnam, we are also started this water auditing for the tanning industry. I don't think in India wise no tannery is done water auditing and all, and we are facilitating this to the industry. And as a NGO, non-profit organization, we are ready to facilitate for this industry as a token of advance. And the interest, we build up interest, and they have to comply all our groundwaters and authority regulations. This is water auditing. We have done already 3 tanneries. In the next month, we may do another 5 tanneries. And this is where this is also new technology called very high polluting chemical called sodium sulfide, which is the removal of hair and digestive of and smell giving thing to the tanning industry. And with the latest innovation in India, under Make in India, we have developed it called enzyme. It's a food grade enzyme. With enzyme protease, we can remove the hair without polluting our environment. And also it saves water, a lot of water, 100% water per one stage. Per 1 kl means 1,000 liter we can save for one ton of material. So hundreds of thousands of tons are processed every day. If you go, and also material, you can see how clean and no pollution, no BOD, very less BOD, very less COD, and no sulfide, no in the pollutant. These are the things we are doing in the cluster, and we provide business cases, and this is what I already showed, this salting, desalting, and this pickle free tanning, and we take the product until the finished standard. It should go, because in leather is going for export market, it has to comply all the standards of the buyers. This is what I want to show. This is called GDO liquid discharge. Now everywhere ZLD is the issue. They were going for only RO system only. And we, with the Central Leather Research Institute, piloted 2 years. We have done R&D in Kanpur, and this is based on ZLD, based on electro-oxidation, not on reverse osmosis. In reverse osmosis, end of the day, you pile up with salt. TDS where we have to do with evaporation, and what you do with the salt. Now southern part, lakhs of tons of salts is piled up, and NGT is finding everywhere, and we don't want to go again to remove one thing and create one more new thing. So we were going with the electro-oxidation system. With the electro-oxidation system, we can do triple R system: reduce, reuse, and all these three things can be done in this system. It means 60% of the water. It means 100 liters. If we use 60 liter, process evaporation will be there 40 liter, 60 liters will come for reuse. So every day, if I am withdrawing from groundwater 1 KL, I can only take 100 KL, and 40 KL only I required. So 60 KL I can reuse with this system. This is the thing, the Kanpur area solid waste, where because leather creates a lot of solid waste, and on solid waste also we are doing R&D, and with limes, calcium oxide, calcium hydroxide, lime sludge will generate in every tannery. Calcium oxide is a cement manufacturing raw material, and so why can't we do this? And we decided, we brought that, and we went to conventional tile makers. We went there, and we have replaced. They have 4 parts in the tile making, and we replaced that sand mitti that replaced with this lime sludge, and we have made paver tiles. In our office, you can see in Kanpur, we have already doing, and even new CTP built up in Kanpur, that 20 MLD plant. They're also NMCG people. They're asking us to arrange tiles, and 5,000 tiles we are arranging there. And this is what we are working on, our solid waste. This is also solid waste. From solid waste value added products, we can make this type of bags can be made out of solid waste. This also we are doing in Kanpur. This is also from flesh. The fat layer is removed from the tannery. That's also, sometimes they put, you can see on the banks of Ganges in Kanpur and area. So we can develop, it is a fatty material. Tallow can be extracted out of that. And by legal tanning process, we remove the hazardous chemicals and we can extract tallow. That is against soap and paint industry raw material. And residual pure protein can be animal feed, can be processed. This is what. So thank you very much. This is what we are doing in Kanpur cluster. And water with Krishnam solutions, we have reduced 25 to 35% water it is practically proven. And we are taking it into the scale up this to number of tanneries.
I think that's quite an insightful presentation of what has been done by Mr. Venkaya and his organization Solidaridad Asia in the Kanpur leather belt, and it's tremendous work has been done, and especially the environmental and water management things you're keeping in mind and using technology. And you said that you're using Krishnam solutions as well. That's quite fine, and I'm sure that audience who are present here as well as speakers will be interested to have this kind of discussion more and more, so that we don't work as a silo, but we work comprehensively, a comprehensive ecosystem of effective usage of groundwater management. I thank Mr. Sunil Kumar, Mr. Anupam, Mr. Pankaj Gupta, Mr. Venkaya, and Vinay Tetraju as well. I know we don't have much time. I can see only we have already passed the time, but I'll take just 1-2 questions because I have already seen that both Mr. Vinay and Mr. Sunil Kumar has already replied to many questions in the Q&A section, written reply, and also will be sharing all the questions and comments to all the speakers so that they can also revert back on that. Maybe one quick question to Sunilji. I can see one question has come that my question to Sunil sir is, if any industry apply in 2020, an application rejected in August 2020 and reapply in September 2020 and NOC granted in December 2020, this industry comes under EC and penalty for late applying after 30 June 2020. So Suraj Upadhyay has asked this. So maybe quickly, Sunilji can just share with us in a minute or so.
Sir, the basic fundamental behind this was whosoever has applied up to 30th June, they were free from any penalty. And because 24th of September new guideline came, so in between whosoever has applied, so as per the EP Act, only penalty was 1 lakh rupee. So that was supposed to be given to the industry. That's all. And because he has written his question that he has applied and rejected, applied, rejected. So I have written him to kindly send his case so that I can directly see what was the reason of rejection.
Okay. Sure.
So based on that, we will give him reply.
Right. We don't have much time. One question quickly to Vinay. I can see one question that how does the annual calibration of flow meters take place? Should we send the meter back to the manufacturer or should be done on the site? Very quickly, 30 seconds.
Yeah, so there are various process of calibrating the meter. So an ideal way is sending the meter back to the manufacturing plant and calibrating and send it. But there are some on-field calibration techniques which are just evolving in the industry. So I guess this is something which has to be defined by the authority on it. So what should be the ideal way of calibrating the meter every year? Because yeah, that's a very critical point. So. Yeah, so this is something which the authority has to define which one is okay, sufficient for them. There are ways available in the market.
Right. So with this, we come to the end of the second edition of this webinar on new groundwater guidelines, government and industry perspective, challenges and way forward, organized by APAC News Network and supported by National Water Mission, IIT Kanpur and UP Groundwater Department, and technology partner, Krishna Technologies. I take this opportunity to thank Mr. Sunil Kumar, Mr. Anupam, Mr. Venkaya, and Mr. Pankaj Gupta for joining us, and also Vinay Chattaraju for joining us today. And I'm sure the deliberations made in this webinar for almost last 2 hours will be of utmost importance for all the industry representatives and as well who wants to make a difference in the groundwater management, in the effective usage of groundwater management. And we'll be documenting the deliberations of this webinar and circulating to all the stakeholders, and we'll be coming up with the third edition of this 3-part webinar series in the March 2021. Please do join us for that as well. Thank you so much, Mr. Sunil Kumar, Vinay Chattaraju, Anupam, Pankaj Gupta, Venkaya Vadlamudi. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you all for listening.
Thank you.